Y'all, I don't know how to do haul videos. That's what I realized. I do not know how to do haul videos. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel for a haul video. Today I have potentially the largest haul video of my channel, so let's dive right into it. I have been hoarding a lot of these books for the past couple of months. A good chunk of them came from the secondhand thrift store. I did purchase a couple of them from the Dollar Tree, and then a couple were gifted to me by another booktuber on here. Her name is Chris at Chronically D, and she is the sweetest person ever. She sent me a couple of her books because she was currently unhauling and downsizing her library, and she asked if I had wanted to read any of these, and she was kind enough to give them to me. So thank you so much, Chris, for keeping me in mind. And yeah, let's get into it. I don't know how to do haul videos, so bear with me. I do think I have about 20 something books here for you, all scattered around me, and let's just get into the set of books that Chris gifted me. The very first one up is going to be The Naturals. I have already read this. I finished this in March, and spoiler alert, it was 4.5 stars. I buddy read this with Chelsea at Libraries and Lattes. We are currently buddy reading Killer Instinct, which is the second book of the series, and I am loving this. Moving right along, I have The House in the Cerulean Sea. This one, what do I want to say about this one? So I haven't done my research on this, but from what I heard, Klune, the author, is using a tragic event in history and written it in this book without giving proper credit. I'm not entirely sure about that. I will do like a whole rant video or just an informative video once I finish reading this book and doing my own research on it. However, I think when I go in on this, I'm gonna try to pull up some articles or something about it just to see what the discourse is about, so I can read this with something in the back of my mind. This is on my 25 before the end of 2025 because I have heard so many people really love it. And I also really want to experience why they really love this story. I believe this is like a magical realism story that's really heartfelt. And that's why it's on my 25 before the end of 2025 to begin with. However, I did learn about the discourse after I created the list. And since I did get this for free, I'm just going to read it, see what it's about, be an informed reader, and talk to you guys about it. So that's what I'll be doing with this book. Moving right along, I have a duology. It is the Shepherd King's duology, One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crown. So this is a YA fantasy, if I recall correctly, dealing with some monsters in her head, and has a very cool magic system with cards. That's all I remember. I know that a couple of people have read this and reviewed it, and I heard all of their reviews, and the consensus is that it's a pretty good book. And so now I have it. I can't wait to start reading this duology. And the very last one, I think Lauren's going to be really excited about, and it is An Ember in the Ashes. Oh, Chris, you're the best. You are a real one. Don't worry, she didn't unhaul her copy because it was bad. She bought me a brand new copy. And she's such a sweet person. So we were talking, and I was talking like, I can't wait to read like another fantasy because I'm in my fantasy era, all right? And Lauren absolutely loved An Ember in the Ashes, and then Chris eventually read it, and she absolutely loved it as well. And I was like, I need to get on the hype. But I've been waiting for my turn from my Libby queue for so long, and we were just casually talking about it along with like some other fantasies we were reading. And then when I opened the box, I was so surprised she gifted this to me. Like, she also gifted a really pretty bag along with it. You're the best. You're the best. Also, the series is supposed to be phenomenal. I can't wait to read it. So thank you so much, Chris, for allowing me to have a physical copy to read. And I really shouldn't make any excuses to not read, but I have been in a reading slump. I think March. I mean, you guys hear about my March reading habits like really soon, but I think I only read like 6 books in March, and I barely read. Compared to like last year, March is kind of like downward trend, and this is the second week of April, and I have not finished a single book in April yet. And I'm even buddy reading 2 books with other people. I'm not doing so hot in the reading department, but we are going to move on to the books I got at Dollar Tree. So the first book I got at the Dollar Tree is You Can Go Your Own Way. This seems like a second chance romance, enemies to lovers, childhood rivals to lovers. I'm just making stuff up. I do not know what this is, but the reason I picked it up is because of the statement in the back. The perfect novel to snuggle up with. from Emily Henry. I mean, I like Emily Henry's book, so I was like, if she has something good to say about this, I'll pick it up. It's $1.25. Let me just read you the synopsis in the back. Adam Stillwater is in over his head, but the old city pin arcade is the only piece of his dad that Adam has left, and he's determined to protect it from Philadelphia's newest tech Mongol, who wants to turn it into a cold, lifeless game cafe. Whitney Mitchell doesn't know how she got here. Her parents split up, she lost all her friends, her boyfriend dumped her, and now she's running social media for her dad's chain of super successful gaming cafe, which mostly consists of trading insult with that decrepit old pinball arcade across town. But when a huge snowstorm hit, Adam and Whitney suddenly find themselves trapped inside the arcade. They're cut off from their world, the tension between them seems to melt away, leaving something else in place. But what happens when the storm ends? I mean, I'm a sucker for romance, and a romance of $1.25? Say less. Say less. The next book I picked up is Who is Maud Dixon? This is supposed to be a mystery thriller from a debut author. Picked it up to give her a chance, and like I would tell you more, but I have no idea what this is. So moving right along, this potentially is the second book of a series, or maybe it's a solo on its own. I don't know. It's The Midnight Strikes. It is a fantasy, and that's all I needed to know, because what do you mean it's a hardback fantasy available at the Dollar Tree? Absolutely going to pick it up. You can't fool me. I know a good deal when I see one. Let me read to you what it's about. And I also believe that most of these are under 1,000 reviews. So I'm excited to be able to review it and maybe find some hidden gems. But is this the second book? Surely not, right? It would tell us if it's a second book. Let me read to you guys the synopsis. Here is the truth. Between the first and last bell of midnight, the world will fall, and only I know it's coming. 17-year-old Anais wants this night to end, a provisional outsider at the royal anniversary ball. She has no desire to rub shoulders with the kingdom of Bavaria's most eligible and pompous bachelor, especially not the notorious ruggish Prince Leo. But then, at the stroke of midnight, an explosion rips through the palace, killing everyone in its path, including her. Excuse me? Wait. The last thing Anais sees is fire, smoke, and chaos, and then she wakes up in her bedroom hours before the ball. No one remembers the deadly attack or believes her warning of disaster, not even when it happens again and again and again. And if she's going to escape this nightmarish time loop, Anais must take control of her own fate, stop the attack before it happens. But Iveria's gilded surface belies a rotten core, full of restless nobles, frustrated with the king's power, discontented commoners itching for a revolution, and even royals who secretly dream of taking up the throne. It's up to Anais to untangle the knots of power and deception at the heart of the kingdom, if she could survive past midnight. This sounds so good. Wait, this sounds amazing. I can't wait to read this. Oh my god. Yes. So the next book I have is the second book of a trilogy. Why did I get the second book of a series? Well, it was a hardcover, and I can't say no to a hardcover. I believe this author also wrote Red Queen, and I think the Red Queen series is pretty popular as well. So I picked up Blade Breaker by her. Again, this is the second book of a series, so I'm not going to read the synopsis. So I believe the first book to this is Realm Breaker, and I did read the synopsis of it at the time, and it sounded interesting enough. So I was like, I love a good hard copy. So yeah, I picked it up. I have no excuses. I just picked it up. And that concludes everything I got at the dollar store. Now let's talk about the massive pile of book I got from the thrift store / the library book sale. Where to even begin? Let's just start. Let's just grab something from this pile, with the first one up being Feel the Burn. I saw this at the thrift store and I just could not pick it up, because Feel the Burn, this has the iconic meme photo of Bernie sitting with his mittens, and it's supposed to be a fiction mystery. It's a fiction cozy mystery, and I think it's supposed to be fairly short as well. I remember skimming it, and majority of it is recipes. Like, a good chunk of the back are recipes, and I think it would just be a fun, lighthearted read if I'm in a reading slump like I am now, which is kind of funny because I'm actually reading Killer Instinct, the second book of the Naturals, and it's fun, but I'm just not reading for some reason. reason. The next book I picked up is A Cat Cafe Christmas, and it just sounds like a nice little cozy Christmas romance. So I'm going to be hoarding this all the way until December. And the next book I picked up is The Lost Children Archive. This was on my radar from Maria Andrea's book club. And I'm going to read you guys kind of like a blurb in the back from another author. Impossibly smart, full of beauty, heart, and insight. Lost Children Archive is a novel about archiving all that we don't want to lose. Louis Selly looks into the American present as well as its history, into the Native American history and the many intersections between American and Mexican history that are and have always been there. This is a road trip novel that transcends the form while also being the perfect American road trip novel for right now. Everyone should read this book by Tommy Orange, author of There. This sounds like it's going to be a very emotional, enlightening read, and I got a good gist of it from Maria Andrea's review. However, I can't wait to experience it myself. The next book I have for you all is Babel by R.F. Kuang. As you guys know, I read The Poppy War last year and I absolutely loved it. And from what I hear, a lot of people really enjoy Babel even more. And I know that she loves incorporating pieces of history, specifically Asian history, into her books and into her writing. So I can't wait to see what she has to say in this book. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say about Babel, and I'm going to move right along to the next book I found, which is The Blood of Flowers. I mainly picked this up for the Diversity Book Bingo, and I'm going to read to you guys the back. In the fabled city of Isfahan, in 17th century Persia, a young woman confronts her dismal fate. Her beloved father has died and left her without a dowry. Forced to work as a servant in the home of her uncle, a rich rug designer in the court of Shah, the young woman blossoms as a brilliant designer of carpets. But as her talent flourishes, her prospects for a happy marriage grow dim, and she finds herself faced with a daunting decision to forsake her own dignity or to risk everything in an effort to maintain it. Sounds really good. Also, there should be a counter on how many times I say a book is good. Like, obviously, I think it's good, and that's why I picked it up. Then the next two books are part of a series. The first one up is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and the next one is Good Girl, Bad Blood, which is the sequel to this book. And I picked it up mainly because I know Lauren at Love Lauren really loved this book as well. So had to pick it up. I am looking for good mystery thrillers. And for some reason, I'm really vibing with YA mystery thrillers. So I think I'm going to enjoy these books a lot. Also, like, this one is so floppy in a good way. Like, y'all, I could do this all day with this book. So that's also a really big reason why I picked it up. And it was at the thrift store. Great condition books at the thrift store. I don't know what else to ask for. The next book is a little bit banged up, but I think it adds to the character of the book, and it is Fahrenheit 451, which I believe is the temperature that paper burns at. And this is a banned book, and at the rise of how many books are being banned, I think it's only fair for me to start reading this book, along with a couple of classics that are being challenged. At this day and age, I think this book probably will hold a lot of power. And let me read to you guys what the back says. The system was simple. Everyone understood it. Books were for burning along with the houses in which they were hidden. Guy Montag was a fireman whose job it was to start fire. He enjoyed his job. He had been a fireman for 10 years and he had never questioned the pleasure of the midnight runs nor the joy of watching pages consumed by flames. Never questioned anything until he met a 17-year-old girl who told him of a past when people were not afraid. Then Guy met a professor who told him of a future in which people could think, and Guy Montag suddenly realized what he had to do. The New York Times also did a little quote saying, frightening in its implication, Mr. Bradbury's account of this insane world, which bears many alarming resemblance to our own, is fascinating. I don't know if fascinating is the right word. Scary is probably more like it, but this is definitely going on my list to be read sometime this year or early next year. And on a very similar note, the next book I picked up is The Hate You Give. This is also a very commonly challenged book in America and possibly even banned in some states. And there's a good reason for that. As we continue to fight the battles against police brutality and systematic racism in America, The Hate You Give serves as a much-needed literary ramrod. Absolutely riveting. James Reynolds, best-selling co-author of All American Boys. So I can't wait to get around to reading this book and diversifying my reading even more. The next chonker of a book is The Lincoln Highway, and I originally saw this on Renee's and Daniela's channel because they buddy read this together, I believe in January. Both of them gave this book a stellar review at 5 stars if I recall it correctly. So I have to read it myself. I want to know what it's all about. And I'm beginning to realize that I really enjoy character-driven stories with a good amount of plot to it as well. And it seems like that's what the Lincoln Highway will have. So I couldn't resist when I saw this available at the thrift store. Moving on to the last set of books, which means there are no more hardcover. I can move my arm a little bit more freely now. And it is The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. I read the first and the second book of the set of companion novels. I believe I gave the first book, The Kiss Quotient, 5 stars. The second book was in my February wrap-up, and I don't recommend it, even though I gave it 3.5 stars. This one, however, I believe is most people's favorite, so I'm really excited to read it because I read the first one, I enjoyed it enough. I read the second one, and it was really questionable, but I love the Vietnamese representation. So if this one is people's favorite with the Vietnamese representation, it'll be read. In fact, maybe I'll even read it right after this video. Now I have Things Fall Apart. I actually was reminded of this book by Ellen at the Ellen Made Book Club, and I read this. I know exactly when I read this. I read this my freshman year of high school, so well over a decade at this point. And my biggest memory of this book is everybody had to do like a handwritten essay for our final. And our teacher slaughtered, completely obliterated all of us because we used a noun as a verb and we all used the same exact noun as a verb. And my teacher was thoroughly disappointed in all of us and our ability to write without spell check. Do I remember anything about this book aside from that one statement that our teacher yelled at us, and it is now like a core memory in my brain? No. But I know that Ellen at the LMA Book Club picked this up. Hopefully we can buddy read it together. But something that I realized when I started rereading books that was previously assigned to me is that my brain has grown tremendously since it has been assigned to me, and I'm just able to pick out some of the themes, and I'm able to kind of see the message that the author is saying. And I began to understand why the teachers assigned these to us as assigned reading to begin with, because there's a reason for it. I know that it's only like a decade late, but I understand. Well, I don't understand for this book, but I'm beginning to understand why reading is so important. So the next book I picked up is Your Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Fredrik Backman. That is a mouthful. I don't know anything about it. It's a Fredrik Backman book. I want to get through a good chunk of his backlog in 2025. So when I saw this at the library book sale, I had to pick it up because so far, 4 for 4, all of his books have been amazing. And I want to see what an older book from Fredrik Backman will read like and see how much he's grown as an author. So my next book is technically influenced by Lauren. And actually, I think a good chunk of these books are influenced by Lauren. So maybe at the end of the video, I'm going to hold up all the books that were influenced to me by Lauren. But let's talk about the book that I purchased at the thrift store, which is Conversations with Friends. And this is a Sally Rooney book that is very character driven, if I recall correctly. I skimmed it. I skimmed it because I recall her writing is very unique, and it is very unique. The biggest glaring difference that I can see is that she doesn't use quotation marks to signify that someone is talking. So I wonder how that's going to affect my process of reading this book, which is also probably why I'm kind of glad I got it as a physical copy. So it's much easier to flip back and forth between the pages and reference all of it. I know that Lauren enjoys Sally Rooney, and I think she has read this. Okay, I'm pretty sure she has read it because 99% of the time when I go thrift store book shopping, if I see something that catches my eye, I will go on Goodreads and stalk whoever has reviewed it. And if it's someone that I've talked to, that I've watched, and their review of it is good, I'm probably going to pick it up. So Lauren probably likes this book, and that's why I picked it up. Tell me if I'm wrong, Lauren. Imagine if like she actually didn't like it and I just saw that she reviewed and picked up the book. That would be hilarious, but also sad because I'll be $3.50 out of my pocket. Okay, the next book I saw at the thrift store, I was so stoked because this is on my 25 before the end of 2025, and it is The Sympathizer. This won a Pulitzer Prize in fiction and Vietnamese representation. I'm here for it. I love it. Let me read to you guys kind of the synopsis in the back of the book. The Sympathizer is a blistering exploration of identity, politics, and America, wrought in an electric prose. the narrator, a Vietnamese army captain, a man of divided loyalties, a half-French, half-Vietnamese communist sleeper agent in America after the Vietnam War. A powerful story of love, friendship, and a gripping espionage novel, The Sympathizer examines the legacy of the Vietnam War in literature, film, and wars we fight in today. So like I said, I love reading works of fiction surrounding Vietnam and the Vietnam War itself. I feel like that's a piece of history that I didn't really learn much when I was growing up. And this is kind of like my way of introducing myself to this piece of history and learning from multiple different perspectives. So I'm really excited to dive into this sometime this year. I know I said that the writing in Sally Rooney book was unique, but tell me why when I was flipping through this, I realized that they have the same kind of writing, which means that this one also doesn't have quotation marks when characters are speaking. So I'm really glad that I got a physical copy of it so I could make notes and mark up the page, because 2 books without it, I might go a little bit mad without quotation marks. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. And finally, we are on our very last book. Editing Mimi will have a counter of how many books in total I have talked about so far. But the last book I have for y'all is Emily Henry's Book Lover. Every time I see an Emily Henry book at the thrift store, I am so excited because she's one of my auto-buy authors. I actually haven't read Book Lovers yet, but I'm hoping with how much I enjoyed Funny Story, Happy Place, and Beach Read that I will also end up loving this book. And if I finish this book, that means I am only missing People We Meet on Vacation as the final book for my collection from Emily Henry. So hopefully I find a copy of that at my local thrift store sometime soon. But for now, this is it for my book haul. This is the final book of the book haul, and I'm gonna wrap up this video here. Did you guys read any of these books? Let me know in the comment section which book I should prioritize, because I literally said I wanted to prioritize tackling my TBR, and then tell me why I bought more books to grow my TBR. I don't know if I'll be able to finish 80% of my physical TBR by the end of this year, but hopefully I will get out of this reading slump soon and start devouring books left and right. But as of right now, I am working on this video and I need to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way until the end. I hope you guys enjoyed my little bookish haul. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Bye!